Gently step onto the solid ground. And I want you to look around you, notice what you see around you. And also look down at where your feet would be and tell me what you see on your feet.
It's almost like animal toes, long nails on the toes. Maybe like 3 toes or something.
And what else do you notice? How do your feet look?
Yeah, maybe like fur. It's like a mouse's foot or something.
Now direct your attention higher to the rest of your body. What else do you see?
I do seem to be some kind of upright, furry animal, but not a mouse.
So just notice, first of all, do you wear any clothes on your body?
No.
Okay. And what does your body look like?
It's like a furry kind of wolfman, sort of, perhaps. Look like one of those, what do they call them, Sasquatch or something.
And approximately how tall are you?
Oh, it looks like about maybe taller than a person, maybe 7-8 feet or so.
Okay. And is your entire body covered with hair or fur?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said you're upright, so you walk on your 2 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do your arms and hands look like?
The hands are more a little bit like claw-like. They kind of like my hands, but the nails are longer, like a wild animal.
Okay. And do you have a sense that you're a male or a female?
It seems like I might be male. Well, I might be female. I don't know. It's not clear.
Do you have a sense if you're young or old?
It seems to be middle-aged or something.
And do you have a sense of how long your lifespan is? What is middle-aged for you as compared to human years?
I'm getting like a couple 100 years as the lifespan, so I'm maybe close to 100 or so.
Okay. Become aware of your face. Perhaps find a reflective surface that you can look at, like a river or pond. You may find one nearby. What does your face look like?
It's kind of a darker, leathery skin on the cheeks and then furry out from the cheeks. They look a little bit, maybe monkey, Neanderthalish or something. Ape-like a little bit.
Is there anything else that's of interest that you're noticing about yourself?
I seem to have a gold chain around my neck with some kind of medallion at the end. That's weird, being a beast like that.
And what does it look like?
It's a rather thick gold chain. It's like a star or something like that. Maybe 3-dimensional looking star, a little pointy thing on the end. Many points.
So pick it up, take a closer look at it. And become aware of the importance of it, the meaning of it, what it means to you now as this being. Why do you wear it?
Yeah, it's the only thing I have on. It's rather bizarre, but I'm not a brutish animal. I'm like a conscious being that happens to be like a human, but walking around in this gorilla-like body or something. But I have this chain and seems to have been given to me or something. It sort of signifies some kind of status or rank, but not so much rank. It's got something energetic going on to it, like it's used to tune me or something. Tuning with a crystal or something. The gold is a nice frequency to be tuned to for me. And then I think maybe others would wear something like this too. I don't see anyone else around, it's just me.
So become aware of the moment that this medallion was given to you. Just travel back in your memory, in your Akashic remembrance, to the moment that it was presented to you, and tell me what you see.
It seems to have been given by some human-like people. More like regular people.
What did they look like?
They were like humans, but whitish, very whitish, and they have like a bit of a uniform on that's got like a blue collar or something, a ring around their neck, blue, and maybe blue around the arms, like bicep, I guess you call it.
And what was your relationship with them? How did you come in contact?
It's sort of like on an equal basis. I'm not sure what they're doing there, what this place is, but they interact somehow, not frequently, but they visit or something. I don't think they live in this area.
Do they respect you as a
Yes,
as a
it's
people?
very much, it's like they're trying to be helpful, and they gave me this gold necklace or something, or medallion thing around this gold chain. It's surprising how heavy the links are on this thing. It's not like a little frail chain. It's more like a substantial chain that would be heavy in your hand.
And so you wear it all the time?
Yeah. And that's all I have on me is this chain.
On the count of 3, I want you to just become aware of where you live. 1, 2, and 3. Just see yourself in front of a place where you live, perhaps. What do you notice?
Well, I don't know my relationship to this place, but there's like a jungle or something, but it clears out rapidly, and there's this huge city with pyramids and that almost like an ancient Maya city or something. It's like a metropolis with the jungle around it. Not quite a jungle, more like a forest, but a little bit tropical.
And so what do you see and who do you see in that metropolis?
I think that's populated by these people with the blue rings on their suits. That's where they live, and somehow these hairy beings like myself are more in the forest around the city.
So I want you to see yourself among your people now. On the count of 3, just see yourself standing in front of a place where you would reside, your home. 1, 2, and 3. Just see yourself there.
It's a kind of elaborate treehouse sort of thing. Kind of almost got a little bit of a Frank Lloyd Wright sort of design to it. It's quite nice. It's a fairly even climate, so you don't need heat or anything. But it's like bamboo or something made out of. And it's got like these stairs or something that you can walk up there. And we live on the edge of the city, but we can go into the city, but we prefer living out there.
So it's made out of bamboo?
Yeah, it's like a tree house constructed with like wood or something, a thatched roof, you know, that kind of construction.
Is it built on the ground or is it
No,
built
it's
into
in the
the trees?
Maybe about 50, 60 feet up in these big trees that are in this forest.
And how do you get up there?
It's like a little stairway or something, a little ladder maybe that takes you up in there. And it's got level floors and that, but it's almost like a vacation place in the jungle or something.
And why do you live up in the trees? Is there a strategic reason for that, or you just like to?
I think we just like to. I mean, I feel like we're not that far removed from the apes, but more like Neanderthals. Still ape-like bodies, but human-like personality. And we kind of coexist on this place with the other beings that live in the city. We go as far as the edge of the forest and maybe into the city sometimes, but prefer the forest. But we're slightly less advanced than these beings in the big city, but not that different as far as intellect.
So take me into your home.
Yeah, it's got like a wooden floor, and like you can see the walls are like straight up and down, like logs or something, but not heavy ones because it's in a tree. And then you got windows cut out that have these, you can open and close the windows. The window goes up. It's like some kind of tropical cabin or something like that. It's rather Spartan in there. I don't see anything, much furniture or anything.
What are the windows made out of?
There's no windows, it's just open to the outside
Okay.
air. It's a comfortable climate, so you really don't need windows to keep out the cold. It never really gets that cold. And if you want to close the windows, you got these shutters like that. Mm-hmm. You just close them, but most of the time they're left open, and then the air just flows through. The big windows about the size of maybe 3 feet tall and 4 feet across, a couple of them. And this building's about 15 by 20, or maybe a little bit smaller, 12 by 15 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And how many of the beings live in like one dwelling like that?
3 or 4 maybe.
And how are they organized? Is that a family unit? Who lives there with you?
It's more like comrades or something, people that you're friendly with than family. You know. I see other similar beings kind of milling about on the ground level, and I don't know quite what they're doing, foraging or what.
Now, do you have a mate?
Yeah, I think I kind of do.
And what kind of relationship system, I guess, or relationships do you have in your community? Do you stay mated for life, for a long time, or do you just kind of come together and then go on your own way?
I think it's the latter.
Okay. So you don't have one being that you stay with?
No, I don't really see any means of family or anything like that. There must be, but I don't see it.
So tell me anything else that you have learned about your experience in that community.
I was just exploring the boundary between the city area and the jungle. It's really quite clear cut. It's almost like there's a definite line that the jungle ends and this modern city sort of begins, or this futuristic city.
And tell me about the relationship with those human people that live in the city. Do you have some sort of an arrangement with them? How does your relationship with them work?
We kind of coexist. We don't interact that much. It's kind of like Canada and the U.S. They're over there and we're over here, and we know they're there, and we don't travel over there too much. We can, but tend not to. It's a very separate society. Friendly, very friendly. There's no conflict or anything. It's just, hey, we prefer the forest or jungle, and we live there, and then these other beings, it's almost like a little bit of a glass wall that's very permeable. It's quite a demarcation, clear transition. One step and you're into their world. One step and you're into my world.
How do you communicate within your community and then with the humanoid community? Do you have a language?
I'm getting that it's like telepathic on both sides of the jungle and the city.
So you don't speak out loud?
No, and it's not even like sentences that are conveyed. It's more like sensations and maybe feelings. A general concept is floated from one person to the other, and you kind of get the whole idea all at once. There's no paragraphs.
So both communities communicate the same way, or on the same level?
I think that the guys with the suits, the big metro city, are a little more technical and stuff. I mean, we just do stuff in the woods, but we don't build as big of fancy places like a vacation cabin up in the trees. It's not a skyscraper, but it's certainly not a nest. It's a structure with a roof and a floor and windows and that.
And the humanoid beings, the city, do they have structures that are much more complex?
Yeah, they're like a big metropolis. Like you might see in a science fiction movie with like big buildings, you know, maybe hundreds of stories high, and then smaller buildings around, and they're all white and shining. Some are pyramidal shaped, some are pointier, bigger, and it's all white and kind of shiny, and there's some different shades of colors, and it's packed in too. It's like a metropolis. It's got a green, like almost like mowed lawn, park-like setting on the outskirts, and then it suddenly becomes this forest with these huge trees that we build these houses in on these huge branches.
And how big is the metropolis approximately, in terms of either the population or the size?
It's like an island in this forest. It's not 1 million, maybe about 100,000, couple 100,000 people, but it just goes from like grassy land to suddenly crowded buildings, one right next to the other. There's no transition, like no suburbs or anything. It's just boom, there it is. And it's maybe several miles or so across. It's not 30 or 40 miles. It's like a big concentration that's there. It's almost like an outpost or something.
And can you become aware of why it was created this way? It seems like it's just really tightly integrated.
These guys are not originally from here. The guys in the suits and the more humanoid types. Mm-hmm. Like they came, like if we would go to Mars and build a colony there, and it'd be surrounded by desolation, the Martian landscape, mm-hmm. and here'd be this incredibly high-tech colony, like a base camp or something, but far more than just huts like we have in Antarctica or something. It's like this magnificent, almost like Wizard of Oz type city. Like they took over that area, but didn't want to impinge too much on the existing culture, which was these hairy beasts with their platform buildings. They're more advanced than the hairy beasts with the claws, like me. Kind of like somebody from the city going out and talking to a farmer. Mm-hmm. You can communicate, but the city person is much more aware of computers and that than the farmer would be.
And so they are the ones that came into your territory.
Yeah, it's almost like they're the space people that
right.
came to this planet.
And can you go back in memory to that original contact, that initial visit?
That would have been way before I was born.
Are there stories that are told?
Stories maybe, nothing written down or anything. It's all been amicable. It's not like there's been any conflict. I mean, maybe we got something out of it. These gold chains maybe were part of the deal. I don't know. There's certainly not something that looks like it doesn't fit in with the rest of that jungle-like scene with huts and the trees. And I don't have any clothes on, but now I've got this gold chain given by these base people that benefits me somehow, and I like it.
What do you feel it does to you, or for you?
The immediate thing that came to me was it enhanced my brain power. I was smarter. It's like waking up and having a nice cup of coffee. I cleared my head and I can think better.
And so not everybody has one of those, or did they give it to every person in your community?
I'm looking around and everyone seems to have one. That was a benefit of these people coming. They kind of helped us advance. Maybe like the Mayans and that talk about teachers came and taught them stuff and they were happy to have them.
Do you have a name? Since you don't have a kind of a spoken language, do you have some way of identifying yourselves and also the humanoid community?
Yeah, I kind of got this, I don't know, it's like a sound, something like Worky or something like that.
That's you?
Yeah, that's my name, Worky. Weerkee or something like that. Just the sound, it's not like signifying anything.
Is that your individual name, or is that the species?
No, that's my name.
What other names do you hear around you?
They're equally more like sounds like Ubi or something like that. These more calls, like you might have calls in the forest between animals.
Do you have a way that you identify the humanoids? Or perhaps what do they call themselves?
I don't know. I'm stretching here. Maybe there's something like Zoom Zoom or something like that, because they move around fast.
Are they able to fly through the stars?
I don't really get a concept of where they're going, but they do seem to go places. But they stay in the city and they do whatever they do in the city, in this little colony that they have. And we stick to ourselves in the forest, other than there's occasional interaction with these people.
So I wonder if I can ask you to do something, and you tell me if you're able to do that. I'd like you to go and find one of them that you can interact with, maybe sit down with and ask some questions. And you can say that you're asking questions for someone who's looking for a greater understanding of what's going on. And I wonder if you can just sit down and ask them who they are and where they came from.
Okay, I'm sitting on this park bench at the edge of the forest where one has come out. I'm kind of asking these questions. What would you like to know?
What do they call themselves?
I almost hate to say this because I know what these are, but the Nookie. I know what these people are.
And where did they come from?
I'm kind of getting the Pleiades or something.
And where are you now? What is this? What planet is this?
I'm sitting on this bench talking to this fellow that has agreed to answer a few questions.
Well, if they're from Pleiades, what planet are you on now?
At first I thought this is not a planet it's not Earth. That was my first impression. But when I heard the word Anunnaki, I know what that means. That's Sumerian. That would be like Earth. That's the Sumerian legend.
Let's just take a deep breath and just breathe it out and let go of every connection, every thought. Just drop deeper, deeper, and just let go. Simply become aware of yourself sitting as that hairy being sitting on the bench with this humanoid.
As you're saying that, I'm going back to what I originally felt. It's not Earth, it's like some other planet that they've come upon. I mean, the trees are just so much bigger than anything on Earth. I mean, they're like fantastical size things with huge branches. I mean, you can build a building in one of their branches without affecting the tree too much. Not something that you'd have on Earth.
And so just ask this person that you're sitting with, why did they come to that planet?
I get the feeling they're like explorers or something. It's a pleasant planet. It's got nice air. It's kind of like Earth, but the trees and flora and fauna are so much bigger. It's like a supersized. I don't know if they're doing mining or it's an outpost for communication or something, but they live there, and I'm supposed to ask the guy why they're there. Let's see, what is he going to say?
What brought them here?
I get something, they're seeking knowledge. They're exploring and seeking knowledge. It's not for physical assets, it's like they're curious.
And how are they enjoying their existence on that planet right now? Are they accomplishing what they came to accomplish?
Yeah, what they're doing is beyond my comprehension, but they spend a lot of time inside their buildings doing highly intellectual or higher level than I can comprehend. It's somewhat communicating back with their own main civilization. That's important somehow, but then they do other things there. It's not like they're mining or something or extracting or taking anything. They're like establishing points throughout the galaxy or the universe, little colonies that they can make a web or a network or something that resonates in a certain way that's beneficial.
So I wonder if I can, through you right now, communicate directly to the person that you're looking at and ask him questions. So that if he answers me, you don't have to understand what he's saying. Can I ask him questions directly?
Yeah, I'm watching his brain. I'm sitting on this bench looking at him. I'm seeing his brain. It's like there's sparklies going on. I don't know if it's a helmet or inside of his head. I think I'm seeing the inside of his head. Yeah, he's somewhat agreeable to this, yeah.
So the first question I have is, how may I address you? Who are you? What do you call yourself?
I got that you can call me Fred or Ed. Either one will work, just to make it easy.
Okay. So Ed, where are you from originally, your community?
I'm from Arcturus.
And what brought you to this planet where you are right now?
We're helping the species advance that are here.
And how are you doing that?
The gold necklaces, they send a frequency into the species which makes them develop faster.
So these species, do they have individual souls, or is there more of a group consciousness at this point?
These species that we found on the planet are less advanced, but they have the potential to be more advanced.
Okay. And are you planning to stay there long term?
We stay for a few thousand years.
Are you familiar with Earth and the human race on Earth in relationship to that timeline? Where are you in time?
That's in the distant future.
So Earth has not happened yet?
It's just starting, keeping an eye on it.
Okay. And what does the golden chain that you have given to this species, what does it do?
The little points are able to pick up energy, and then in the center there's a device that sends out a frequency and starts to run energy up the chakras to where the brain center is activated to grow bigger.
And so are you seeing it working? I mean, is it effective at this point?
Yes, we've used it on many planets.
How long is your lifespan?
2,000 years.
And you are a humanoid, I presume?
Yes.
So when you travel to this planet, does that become your home, or do you travel back and forth?
No, we're just here at the colony doing our work.
And what is your relationship with the local population? How much do you interact with them?
They enjoy our company, and we try and advance them by raising their frequencies. The gold chain is one method. And we broadcast an energy throughout the planet that raises the energy of all beings on this planet outside of our colony.
And at which point will you know that you have accomplished perhaps enough moving forward? How will it proceed?
When the beings here start to build larger buildings and begin to communicate and have written communications and can sustain somewhat of a city like ours, then we feel our mission will be finished, but we'll be back and provide additional impetus for evolution.
And what type of communication system do you have? I'm assuming you have written language?
There's no need for that. Everything is in the Akashic records and no need to write it down.
Okay. So how do you communicate?
It's all telepathic.
So I'm wondering if you can project into the distant future this being that you're sitting next to now, Warkeep, that will eventually come to Earth and be a human on Earth.
No, they're going to be beings on their own planet and will eventually evolve to the point where they can join and be not equal to, but more communicative with our society.
Will they have individual souls and begin their own spiritual evolution?
Yes, that's what we're trying to help with.
And so at that point, when the soul begins to incarnate, they will incarnate in different locations, different...
Yes, as we all do.
If you kind of look into the distant future, to the lifetime of John, can you help him connect? Why are you bringing this into his awareness right now?
Oh, he's a bumbling character, but he has merit. We see something worthwhile working with there.
What is that?
He is a higher level of consciousness, but there's much work he needs to do, but he's workable. You can work with him.
Can you elaborate on that? How do you work with him and for what purpose?
As we do on the other planet, we're trying to raise the level of consciousness. John is one of many points that we have that will help raise the level of consciousness, the advancement of this group of beings. That's our mission. We try and advance the level of consciousness, level of understanding different groups of beings. We find those in the community that can be of some help, and John can be of some help.
Now, do you stay in touch with him? Do you work with him throughout different incarnations?
Yes, the beams of energy that we broadcast over the other planet are similarly broadcast over this planet, and John is a good receptacle for those beams of energy and can react and apply them.
Do you have a long-standing sort of karmic agreement to work together and collaborate?
With John specifically, or anybody else on this planet?
With John specifically.
Yes, he came on to this planet with this task in mind, although he's a bit unruly.
Does that make it more difficult?
Well, it's rather entertaining, but it slows the progress down.
Okay, and what can he do to help speed up the process or get it back on track more?
Which process?
The collaboration that you have.
We can't interfere with his own personal development. That's up to him.
Okay.
We use him as much as we can. It's not a broken tool, but a more difficult tool.
Okay. And so let's go back to this planet. Is there a name that we can understand of the planet where you are now?
Oh, they have a name for their planet. We don't, we've got a designator for it. You wouldn't understand the terminology, but it's sort of like a number.
Do you know what solar system it is?
It's on the further away in your galaxy.
Can you tell me more about your society so that I can understand you better?
We've been in existence for maybe what you'd call 500 million years and reside on many levels. And we tend to the consciousness growth in this universe.
And how do you do it? Is it usually just through these colonies?
They can help for individual work with individuals, but we also broadcast the frequency. When we're in the colony, we can broadcast the frequency around the entire planet. But we also have frequencies we broadcast through the galaxy and through the universe. These frequencies are at different levels.
Mm-hmm. And can you look into the future to the time when Earth becomes a habitable planet and humans begin to reside there? What is your role at that point in human development?
We have visited several times and will continue to do so at the appropriate times in human development. But as with John, we can't interfere with individual development. We will appear at times to broadcast a frequency and use those individuals that can further our purposes.
When you do come in touch with human society on Earth, do you appear physically? Do you make contact?
That's not necessary. We can project ourselves in various ways. But yes, physical contact can happen too. Not very frequently.
Do you bring humans on board?
We keep those in check. There are other civilizations that have their own purposes. We are more high-minded. We're more consciousness. They are more selfish purposes to propagate themselves and improve themselves. Sometimes take some resources. We try and advance the consciousness of a species.
You don't have actual physical contacts.
We can. We occasionally appear. It's difficult to explain why we might appear, but at times we do.
Okay. Now, is there anything else that you can share with me about your civilization?
We all vibrate at the same frequency. We are attuned to it. A crude analogy might be a radio that plays and everybody hears tunes and likes the tunes and vibrates, dances to that same frequency. And there's no need for a big instruction or anything. The tune itself dictates the dance.
And how do you select tasks that you want to pursue in life? It's just based on the need of the community or your personal interest?
It's quite clear. You don't select it. Everyone's doing the same thing. We don't really have different tasks.
What do you mean by that everybody does the same thing?
We all have a common purpose, trying to raise the consciousness. It's quite clear to us what needs to be done, and we just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a joyful endeavor.
Okay. I really appreciate you talking to me and sharing this information. Is there anything that I need to know, you want me to know, or you want to share?
You can be
John?
a point of light like this, like we use John, we can use you too. And we don't interfere in your life, but we will send a frequency to you, and then you can respond, and you'll know. You'll feel what needs to be done.
I would love that.
And we'll use you as much as you allow.
And what would that frequency...
It'll influence you, but it does not dictate. It merely suggests. And you can follow inner guidance, as you would put it perhaps, or not. It's your choice.
Yes, I would welcome that. So I thank you for this conversation, for just talking to me directly.
We are always in touch.
Worky, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. So did you listen to this conversation?
Yeah, it was interesting listening to this guy. I don't think I've ever talked to him like that before. I'm not sure what we do talk about, but I was a little startled to hear his voice come through there.
Could you hear his physical voice?
Yeah, they could tell he was somebody else.
Okay, so let's go back to where you live. And I would like to learn a little bit more about you. What do you do during the day? How do you spend your time?
No, there are sometimes other houses to build and that. We forage fruit and things, and we don't grow things, but these beings are starting to teach us a little bit about growing some things, but we don't care to learn too much about it because there's plenty of fruit and food in the forest. There's like these fruits, they're like orange or grapefruit size that are quite nutritious, and we'll eat those. And there's leaves of certain sorts, like what you might call a salad or something. And little nut-like things we like for treats. The water is good too, you can drink it here. We like to get the drippings off of leaves like dew or sap. That's kind of a nice treat. It's like a bottle or something, a little leather bag or clay pot or something. You can collect this sap and it's a nice little sweet treat that we like. And the forest provides plenty for us and we're happy here. Those other beings, they live in this big city and it's not as attractive to us as this forest.
And what happens if somebody gets sick or hurt? Does that ever happen?
We try and help them, but our methods are kind of primitive. Sometimes there's nothing that can be done.
But you live long lives, right? You said...
Yes, there's not really much danger. It's a rather idyllic life. We have not a lot of reason to want to go into this rather claustrophobic city when we have this whole big open forest around us. It's a wonderful place to live. There isn't much danger here. There's nothing that really attacks us. There's no, like you have bugs and things. We really don't have bugs.
You don't, so you don't have a lot of insects?
No, it's an idyllic place. It's like a garden of Eden. No dangerous animals. There's some other creatures that go around, but they're all friendly and don't bother us, live their lives. We live our lives. Not much reason to move forward or do anything much different.
So allow those images to fade for a moment. On the count of 3, I want you to move forward in time to either the next significant time or event in that lifetime or the end of that lifetime for you. 1, 2, and 3, you're there. So tell me what's happening around you.
Well, I've become more like a human. I'm like 10, 20,000 years ahead now. We're like in these spaceships zipping around, little individual cars, triangular little zip, 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 flying around through the air.
So you're not in the same body, though?
No, this is another lifetime,
Okay.
20,000 years later.
Is it on the same planet?
The hairy beings have evolved and we're somehow lost our hair. I don't know. We could have done that in 20,000 years, but maybe the space people had something to do with that.
So let's just look around and slow down a little bit because you've jumped quite a bit. So for the 20,000 years, have you been reincarnating within the same...
Yeah, I'm currently like flying this like little triangular space car. Like you would drive down the highway in a car, I've been in this little triangular space thing flying around, and so is everybody else. It's quite advanced. We've made a lot of progress in these years. I'm guessing it's 20,000 years. It might be longer.
So I want you to just slow down and look at yourself, at your body. What do you look like?
I still have the 3 longer nails on the toes, but much less hair. More like you humans.
Do you have any clothes on your body?
Yeah, we have a uniform.
Everybody has a similar uniform?
Well, I'm in my little space vehicle right now, zipping around. I'm kind of by myself right now. But yes, the other people in the civilization, we don't have the big crystal cities or like, did I use the word crystal city before?
No.
No, I didn't. I kind of meant to, but that's not a real accurate description, but just a shining city. We don't have those yet, but they're pretty advanced. We've got our buildings, perhaps more like your cities, maybe a little nicer, a little neater, but we have developed these craft that can fly around. We don't have highways, cars. We depend on these. The air is filled. That's probably the biggest problem we have, is the air is filled with these little flying vehicles. We have to be careful not to run into one another.
I'm guessing you don't live in the trees anymore? Or do
No, their area has been diminished. Actually, I don't see any trees in the immediate area. There are areas with trees, but we've spread out our big cities, and we've got our little box-type houses now we live in.
Tell me more about the box-type houses.
They're not as pretty as the Crystal City that the other beings had, but they're more like square boxes, and they contain different, perhaps businesses, organizations, and then we live in some, it's some, not as many high buildings, as flatter and spread out like your suburbs perhaps. Our population is greatly expanded too.
And do you have a family structure now? How do you organize your society?
Yes, it's more like your society where there's a family structure and grandpas and grandmas, regulated by laws.
What do you mean by that?
There are rules and you have to declare that you're part of this structure, and that's all noted in books and that, and ledgers. We keep track of things now instead of just a mass of beings wandering in the forest. You're assigned a unit, and your, let us say, family group is in that unit, and it's all kept track of, regulated now.
You have to register your relationships?
Yes, it's sort of like your society where you get a marriage license or something. Mm-hmm. You live on a certain address and that. It's all kept track of now. And we have writing. There's some speech that goes on. Yeah, speech.
And so what are your aspirations now in the society when a person grows up? What kind of things do they want to do? What kind of options are available to them?
I'm thinking about what things we like. We like being the people we know, the families that we know. That's the biggest source of pleasure for us. I'm not quite seeing occupations. We do, I mean, I am flying around in this thing.
Well, as you're flying around in it, where are you going right now?
I'm going to the other side of the city, which is quite a ways away, sort of like your cities. You could spend a lot of time driving from one end to the other. Our cities are the same way, even bigger. I'm doing some mission, going to the other side of the city and delivering something, I think.
So just allow yourself to get to your destination, just see yourself arriving there. And as you arrive, just become aware of why you're there, what you came to deliver, perhaps.
I've come to my job work site. I maybe delivered myself, whatever it is I do.
And it becomes clearer to you as you take the next few breaths, the work that you do, or the reason you have arrived there, what your mission is.
Well, it's rather odd, but my left ear right now is starting to hurt, and I got the thing that somehow I'm do some kind of medical work, and the reason my left ear is hurting is to tell me I work medically with ears or something.
See yourself working, become aware, just allow the images to come to you.
I don't know why we do this, but we put notches in ears. I don't know why this is done, what the purpose is. It's not anything that people here do. It's something that needs to be done. I think it might be a cultural or tradition thing. Everybody's expected to have their ears notched.
And what do you put notches with?
It's like a little crimping tool or something. But it's societal. It's not something that needs to be done, but it's almost like a fashion thing or something. Yeah, it puts a little V-notch in your ear, and it has really no purpose other than it's fashionable.
Like in your earlobe?
Or top portion, and the top portion of the ear. It's like a V-notch. I think it looks cool or something. I guess that's what I do, is some kind of silly, passing, fashionable thing.
And so I want you to just freeze the moment and see your next client or patient that you're working with. And I want you to turn to them and ask them why they chose to come here and experience this.
It's because everybody does that. I mean, it's a silly question. It just must be done. It's sort of maybe like a transition as you become a certain age, maybe when you turn 21 or something.
Is that almost like a spiritual tradition?
No, it's actually quite surface thing. But I think it does signify that you are now mature. Now you're an adult or something. If you don't have a notch in the ear, you're still a young kid.
So is it something that you kind of like cut through or carve out?
Yeah, you might take a like a little punch and there you go. Little V-notch, like you might do to cattle or something. Totally unnecessary and actually involves a little bit of pain, but people endure it because that's what's done.
Allow your mind to just float all the way back to the beginning of that tradition, as far back as it needs to go.
It had something to do with blood. Almost like a religious thing, though. Back when that civilization was more religious, there was some pain that you went through, like a circumcision, you know, that it's painful, but it must be done because that's our tradition. And they decided that this notching of the ear, which the ears are quite visible, everyone can see, and they can tell that you have been properly notched. You have suffered a little bit of pain, like a baptism. You've given this blood, which is like the Mayans valued blood. It's kind of a religious ritual. And although the society is no longer religious, this tradition is kept on. It's an odd way to make a living doing this stupid thing, but that's something that must be done, and that's what I do.
Do you enjoy it?
Not particularly. It's not an exciting job, but it's just, hey, it's my job, it's my duty, I do that.
Okay. And do you have a wife or a mate?
I think I'm not married yet at this point. I've been notched myself, but I haven't hooked up. But I live with my family, and I'm a younger being right now. I maybe will meet someone, I don't know.
Just see yourself in your home where you're living with your family right now. Tell me what your home looks like and who you see around you.
We live in one of these boxes. One of the walls has got like a TV screen. Like it's just one big room, I think. There's no windows in this building as opposed to the airy huts before. The TV screen kind of serves as the window to the outside world. It's just a rather plain box square looking thing. It's pretty boring.
So your predecessors thousands of years ago lived in the forest. And then there was the colony of humanoids that lived in this metropolis. How has that changed?
The metropolis is gone. Those space people left. The forest people now have evolved to have their own big cities and have removed a lot of these trees. They still exist in more distant portions, but they have these big sprawling city complexes where I live in this box with my family and fly in this triangle. It's not the idyllic living that had occurred. In some ways we're more advanced, and in some ways we've lost a lot.
Do you feel that you've lost the connection with the land?
Oh yeah, at this point though, I'm flying through my vehicle. I don't think about those sort of things. I'm just go home and sit inside the box, you know, with your other family members and watch the big screen that gives you pictures instead of having windows to look out of. And then we sleep on the floor kind of like all in a circle. It's like a campfire thing in the middle that seems to provide heat. I don't know where the smoke goes to because there's no chimneys or anything. There's no windows, it's just a box. It's about 20 by 20 and it's got the tall ceiling of about 12, 15 feet high. And that's where we spend our time. And everybody else does too. There's boxes all around us.
So I want you to see yourself having a meal with your family or however you have meals. Tell me what you see.
Well, the first thing I saw on the plate was like this mouse-like thing. Like we enjoy eating these mice. They're like little crunchies. They'd eat the meat on it. Instead of eating this wonderful fruit, they're more like potatoes and boiled sticks or like asparagus type sticks or something. They're nutritious, but they're not as much fun. But we enjoy, the pleasure comes from eating these fried mice. I like eating the crunchy mice and watching the TV.
So as you sit with your family, where do you eat? You
We're
sit
sitting
on
on the floor and we're sitting around this fire-like thing. It's like a bit of a pit in the floor, and that's sort of like the central gathering spot.
Is that where you cook?
Cooking seems to be done in some different portion. Not a separate room kitchen, but maybe some like microwavey sort of maybe thing attached to the wall. I'm looking around to see if there's a bathroom. I don't notice any bathroom. Weird, I don't know where bodily functions are taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But we all do sleep on the floor in like a circle. Our heads point toward the center like spokes of a wheel. There's about 10 of us there in that building.
And can you tell me who those people are, the 10 that are with you?
Older and younger members of his family, like the grandmother, grandfather, and then mother and father, and me being one of maybe a couple of kids or something, and then there's maybe some other uncle or something like that there.
And what's your typical lifespan at this point? How long do you live?
Well, I'm getting about maybe 80 years or so.
And how old are you now?
Probably about 20, 21 or so.
Okay. So I want you to allow those images to fade as you take the next breath. Allow yourself to float even deeper. And in a moment, I want you to move to the last day of that particular lifetime. 1, 2, and 3, you're there. And tell me what you're noticing around you.
Well, I'm in the box. I'm pretty frail now. I'm sitting around that fire, sort of leaning back, having a little difficulty breathing.
And about how old are you now?
Oh, about that 80, maybe 85 time frame or so.
By box, you mean you're in your home?
Yeah, that same home.
So you have never moved out?
No.
Do you have a family of your own? Your own children or a wife?
Yeah, I see more grandchildren. I think the wife died a while back.
Who's around you?
Because I'm ill, there's a couple kids and grandkids there. Some might live there, some are just visiting because I'm ill.
What illness do you have? What's wrong?
It's just that I've gotten old. The environment is not as healthy to live in. It takes its toll. The reason you stay inside is because there's like a poisonous dust, a harmful dust that blows around outside. It covers the streets, and it's not good to be too exposed to it. So you tend to stay indoors. I've been exposed to it though for decades, and it's taken its toll.
What is in the dust?
Something that makes breathing more labored, and after a while it sort of choke to death.
How have you been exposed to it? Did you work outside or just by virtue of living?
You do go outside every once in a while. I mean, you try and avoid it because everybody knows the dust is not that good for you. Mm-hmm. It'll eventually do harm to you. We might live much longer except for all this dust.
And do you know where it's coming from?
Pollutants from something, some manufacturing, something that was made that they weren't aware of how bad it was, but now it's floating all over. I think it still continues to be made. It's not like now that there's been a recognized harm. It just, everybody knows, try and stay indoors so you minimize your exposure. And that's how we live life. We've kind of grown to accept the dust.
Is anything being done to fix it?
No, it's just like an accepted part of life.
Are people aware of anything that could be done?
People don't really care to do anything. They just accept it. Stay indoors. Watch TV. Sit around the fire. And then get in your little space vehicle and fly to wherever you need to. But then you're inside again, protected from the dust.
Right. So how are you feeling as you're reclining in that?
I'm having difficulty breathing. I think they've given me some medications to ease the pain or something. I'm just laying there and sort of gradually fading away.
And how do you feel as you know the end of your life is approaching?
It's been banal, mundane existence in this society. I think there's some festivals or something throughout the year that people get kind of whooped up on, but Basically, the rest of the time it's not a real exciting life, so I'm not feeling like sad to be leaving a glorious lifetime. It's been a rather banal life.
Any regrets?
No.
So just allow your spirit to gently lift out of the physical body that had limitations, and beginning to expand and feel more comforted, more at peace. And as you look back down, what do you see is happening as the family's seeing that you have left?
I think there's something the equivalent of a few tears being shed, but then they put you on the curb and you're picked up and taken away. That's the way things are done here.
And tell me more about that. Why is that done that way?
You're kind of useless afterwards. You're dead, and obviously your animating spirit is left, and so the body is just like a bent spoon or a broken spoon. It's not of any use, and it's like a corporal thing that was being used but now is no longer needed. And there's no reverence treated to the body. It's just like a thing to be put in the dumpster and picked up, by the authorities.
How do they feel about spirit?
Well, it's obvious that the body is no longer animated, so something's left, but the religion part is all gone. It's like, oh well, Fred seems to have left, and let's package his body up. I think there's some strapping that's used to fold the body up, a convenient package, and wheel it out to the curb and signal the authorities somehow.
Is there any sense that the spirit will return at some point?
No,
still
not a lot of thinking about that. In fact, there's not a lot of weeping or mourning or anything. It's like, okay, Fred's dead. What else is on TV?
And is that a typical kind of reaction?
Typical for this society, yeah.
So not very emotionally attached to each other?
Not to the physical bodies. It's not deep emotions. It's more kind of a bland sort of existence in this city of boxes.
So as you're floating above and your body is being carried to the curb, what is your reaction to this lifetime? The culmination of about 20,000 years from the first experience when you became aware of yourself.
I'm getting more like it's 200,000. I maybe misspoke here. Yeah, it's a little surprising to me. I'm becoming aware that there's more than this bland sort of existence that I had. I'm just starting to see some of that.
What is surprising to you?
That there are other possibilities of lives beyond the bland existence life.
And so as you become aware of that, what conclusions do you draw or what decisions do you make?
I'd like to have one of these existences in a more exciting time.
And where does that take you? As you look into the future, where do you decide to have your next experience?
Palladians that built the original colonies on the planet. That looks like an exciting life. I also have the options of going to this place, Earth. That sounds kind of interesting. It's like a menu is presented. So, okay, for your next incarnation, what would you like? As I make little, so to speak, check marks next to possibilities, I add to my workload, too, of lifetimes. Since I have a desire that needs to be quenched, I've relegated myself to more lifetimes just by looking at the menu. Kind of like I went to the bookstore and I bought books, and now that I have the books at home, now I'm committed to reading them. Like now that I've looked at the menu and gone, gee, I'd like to live once on Earth, or I'd like to go to this other planet or something. Now I've racked up 4 more lifetimes I have to complete, just by desiring, having a curiosity, having an interest. But then again, it's not bad, it's all good, it's all good.
And so what do you pick from the menu? What is your next destination?
I think that I went to the Palladian thing next. One of these advanced civilizations.
Well, it sounds like a very exciting adventure that's coming up for you, and perhaps we're going to explore it again. Visit your lifetime there and see what you've learned there. But for now, Just allow those images to fade away as all of the beings in that previous physical life go on their way to experience their own adventures. And the soul of John begins its journey back into his present experience as a human on planet Earth.